Well, good evening. You know, I didn't know I was getting an award until about 2 minutes ago, and they just told me that this award was given to President Donald Trump. You know, it actually kind of messes up my comments, but what I can say is tonight we're gonna go on a journey. But before we can go forward, we must look backwards. Independence Hall, Philadelphia, September 17th, 1787. Benjamin Franklin, after signing the newly drafted U.S. Constitution, someone in the crowd, Elizabeth Powell, a social figure, wife of the mayor, she asked, "Well, doctor, what have we got? A republic or a monarchy?" And Benjamin Franklin said, "A republic, if you can keep it." We go back to George Washington, March 15th, 1783, Newburgh, New York, where the Newburgh conspiracy unfolded. One of the most dangerous internal crises of the American Revolution. The war effectively over, the Continental Army, its officers, had not yet been paid, pensions not honored, and a coup, a conspiracy was afoot to take this new government, this new nation by force. Washington, learning of this conspiracy, called a meeting of his senior officers. His officers expecting a harsh verbal assault, a rebuke from their commander. Instead, he delivered a short, calm, moral appeal. Near the end of his remarks, he pulled out a letter. He then put on his spectacles and he said, "Gentlemen, you must pardon me. I have grown gray in your service and now find myself growing blind." It is said that his officers, having never seen George Washington show even a moment of weakness, that some even wept. In that moment, the conspiracy collapsed and a nation was born. But to fully understand George Washington, we must travel once more to a distant time in a distant land, Cincinnatus. In Rome, a senator in an early time, a fragile time in Rome's republic. Rome was under siege. And under the Constitution at the time, the Senate could appoint a dictator with absolute power for 6 months. Cincinnatus, a man of virtue, he was a senator who had been targeted, financially ruined, like our president, attacked, pushed out of elite political life. He was living and working on his small farm. The senators came and they asked if he would serve. He donned his cloak and he accepted the authority. Cincinnatus took command, restored order in 15 days, and then he removed his cloak. He abdicated absolute authority and returned to his farm. You see, he prescribed to an honor, a moral code that defined who he was and what a nation should be. A moral code that George Washington believed, and a moral code that Benjamin Franklin knew must ever be present in our nation when he said, "A republic, if you can keep it." Tonight, I speak to you from an occupied city. Zohran Mamdani and his coalition of communists, jihadists, and globalists are on the move to crush our way of life. Don't get me wrong. Electing communists is nothing new in our American politics. In fact, we fought an entire Cold War over the very issue. Yet there's something different The communists of yesterday were covert. They campaigned as progressive Democrats. They insisted that they were Christians fighting for the common American. The communists of today, the Democrats, sneer at their peers of yesteryear. They don't want to appeal to the common American. They reject the very idea, and for the first time, the left is being honest about it. Their mission is simple: replace the common American with an uncommon alien. Here's my point. The Democratic Party has been overrun, hijacked by a coalition that is the radical left. The new left has completed its work by defining its principles. No faith, no God, no family, no honor, no gender, no constitution, and no law and order. And it's time for Republicans, for conservatives, we, the new right, to define ours. We are not reactionary, we are resurrectionary. As we defend our Constitution, as we restore our republic. The new right cannot exist merely to rage on cable news about the decay of our culture. As a member of Congress, the temptation to be purely reactionary is real. Every day, my work is dictated by a news cycle that sensationalizes sound bites, snippets, likes, and shares, and then it simply moves on. Congress responds by slapping Band-Aids and passing empty resolutions on America's worst issues and problems, and then moves on. What has it gotten us? $38 trillion in debt, a culture in decline. We are always playing defense. And if Donald Trump has taught us anything, is if you're playing defense, you're losing. The second A in MAGA is a very important term. Make America great again. It means to actively resurrect our government, our traditions, and our faith. For example, if dubiously elected, or rather naturalized illegal immigrants are polluting our politics, the new right must have courage to deport them. We don't just complain about how bad things will get, we must act, using power for just and lawful means, like deporting Mamdani. It's how we resurrect our nation. This isn't political, it's personal. When criminals harass our communities, we have the right to use the Second Amendment to stop them. Our founding fathers deliberated and debated this very issue. That's how we restore a high-trust society. We resurrect the institutions our forefathers built, and we tear down the ones that have been corrupted. That is where so many Reagan conservatives get it wrong. Disordered institutions, they want to keep them alive. Institutions undermining our very existence. It's time we dismantle and we destroy them, like USAID, the Federal Reserve, and various State Department programs. They're built for globalists by globalists. To resurrect our republic, I'll say it again, those institutions must be destroyed. In short, we must resurrect the good institutions and crush the bad ones. The deep state that undermines President Trump, that undermines our republic, cannot be reformed. It must be destroyed. We must resurrect Americans' hatred of communism and ideals that are incompatible with our values. Rekindle fierce nationalism and return to individual devotion to Christ as the way to be self-governed. The very basis of our Constitution and the key to our national resurrection, our new golden age. This is how we resurrect, restore our republic. And America first means America first. You'd be surprised how many MAGA Republicans, or how many Republicans call themselves MAGA. yet consistently and constantly sell out to special interests, foreign drug companies, and lobbyists who profit from destroying our country. That is not America first. Being controlled by foreign interests is not America first. It's treacherous, and I dare say it's treasonous. Let me be clear. America first means American workers first. That means ending H-1B visa program to ensure American talent is prioritized and employed. It means rethinking every single visa program from the ground up. Saying that Americans aren't qualified is lazy. It's an excuse for big companies to hire cheap labor from countries that undermine American workers, our culture, and ultimately our economy. If we want talented Americans, let's educate and create them. Nobody wins if we have cutting-edge technology, but an unrecognizable culture. America first means limiting immigration to people who are from compatible nations, who love our history, who worship our God. Those who don't fit the mold should make their own countries great and get the hell out. But it gets worse. The importation of Islam into this nation undermines our communities, our cities, our nation. Christianity is the answer, always. Let me be clear. America is and must always be a Christian nation. That isn't just the opinion of a Tennessean. It's the conviction of nearly every key figure in our founding, even those who didn't have a close personal relationship with Christ. John Adams most clearly and eloquently stated, our Constitution was made only for a moral and religious people. American culture is a product of English Christian culture. The Pilgrims were English Christians who wanted to reform the Church of England. Those in Jamestown were Puritans whose society centered on the local church. Free expression, rule of law, respect for women, minorities, no religion except Christianity can offer that. It's deeper than good government. It's also how we protect our art, our culture, the very threads of our fabric of our nation. Why do modern movies and books fail to captivate us? Because America's greatest art reflected the divine, the intent of our founding fathers. If we have bad art, it's emblematic of our nation losing its way, a nation adrift. The resurrection and mission of Jesus Christ must be central to our politics. His morality must be American morality. If we throw away that, pluralism we no longer become American. It isn't our grandparents' Democratic Party anymore. So it's time to stop being our grandfather's Republican Party. And if that sounds like political rhetoric or hyperbole, let's look at the facts. Let's look at the cities. Let's look at the nations that have allowed themselves to be invaded by the peoples from other nations. Religions that simply are incompatible with our country, our faith, our way of life. London, migrants, 40% of sex crimes, that's from the Metropolitan Police. Paris, migrants, 48% of the crimes from the Interior Ministry. Rome, migrants, 83% of street robberies, 69% of sex assaults. And Sweden, where migrants are 10 to 12% of the population, but roughly 80% of the sexual assaults. Look at Minneapolis, Detroit, and even Nashville, a red state where a Somali migrant arrested 21 times, released from prosecution a dozen times by woke, liberal, activist judges, His charges range from drug possession, indecent exposure, and sexual battery. And what did he do? This Somali, this migrant, raped a woman to death on the steps of a church. I, for one, have had enough. I will no longer be silent, and I will not stand by and let my country be invaded by those who seek to destroy us. I will fight. I will never back down. We can take back this city. We can take back this country. We can usher in the golden age, the new republic. I will stand. I will fight, for I want my country back. God bless you, and thank you.